My name is Kapil Kumar. Thank you all for joining. I am a director of the 22q Family Foundation, and as you can see on the screen, we're dedicated to raising awareness for 22q syndrome while connecting, supporting, and offering accurate information to families affected by the disorder. So our mission, obviously, is to bring everyone together, to provide information, to provide connections. We really try and support 22q families in a variety of ways, and these webinars are one of them. We are fortunate to have Sarah Pennington from Virginia's 529 program here to talk about ABLE programs today. This is the start of a series of financial sessions. We're going to be talking about a variety of different things, including estate planning, special needs trusts, etc., in the coming months. So thank you for coming and joining us today in the first of these. We truly believe that there's a need for parents of all ages to have access to this type of information. And it's not just for families that have kids with 22q. We've reached out to other organizations as well to join us today because this is something that applies to all of us. We want to help you guys set up our kids to be as financially stable as possible in the long run. And even if your kid is young, it doesn't matter. We want to start them off early, and we want to start ourselves off early in a way that will help set a good foundation to be able to help our kids be their best selves. That's always been one of my main goals, and one of the reasons that I joined the Family Foundation is because I feel like it's a wonderful forum for us to be able to provide insights, tools, and resources to each other, just to be able to help ourselves and our kids be our best selves. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and we'll be monitoring questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to use the chat function in this webinar. Sarah is going to address most things throughout the course of the presentation in terms of the typical questions that people have. We may pause here and there to answer specific ones relating to what we're talking to, and then we'll get to a majority of them after the main presentation, which is about 25 minutes. So don't think that if we're not answering your question right away, we're not watching. We are. We're keeping good track, and we'll try and answer as many and all of your questions that we possibly can. So Sarah, go ahead.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kapil. Can you hear me, Kapil?
I can.
Yes, perfect. All right. Just wanted to make sure that folks on the line can hear me. And thanks everyone for joining us today. As Kapil said, we're going to be talking about understanding ABLE accounts. And my name is Sarah Pennington, and I work for the ABLEnow program, which is sponsored by the state of Virginia. We are a national program, so anyone in the country can open an account with ABLEnow. And a lot of the information that I'll be sharing is not unique to our program. So there are a number of states now that have ABLE accounts. And so we're all working from the federal ABLE Act, and we're all working from the same rules. So the information that we cover today is true for the ABLEnow program and our customers, but it's also true for a lot of ABLE programs all across the country. So let's dive into what we're going to be covering. But first, just want to go over some basic housekeeping before we get started with the presentation. As Kapil said, just feel free to submit questions as you have them. Your GoToWebinar dashboard should look similar to the image on this slide. Just type your questions and hit send. And at the end of certain sections, I'll pause to review questions we've received. We're expecting a pretty large audience today, so I'll cover as many of your questions as possible. But if we're not able to get to your question during today's webinar, or if your question is more personal to your specific situation, we encourage you to contact us directly, and I'll have that information at the end of our presentation as well. All right, so our objectives. Let's start with what we'll cover. So today, my hope is that you'll leave this session with an understanding of the ABLE Act, which establishes the rules and requirements of ABLE accounts, the features and benefits of our ABLE program, ABLEnow, and how you can get more information and open an ABLE account. And I also, at this point in the presentation, like to start with, why is this important? So ABLE accounts are a new financial tool for eligible individuals with disabilities. It fosters self-determination and financial inclusion. But we need your help to spread the word about this empowering program. It's estimated that 8 million Americans with disabilities are eligible to have an ABLE account, but today only about 35,000 ABLE accounts have been opened across the country, and that's as of the end of 2018. So less than 1% of eligible Americans with disabilities are taking advantage of this opportunity to save. So we'd love to work together and improve this situation and allow more people to be aware of ABLE accounts and what they mean. And it is important to note that in this presentation, I can give you information about the ABLEnow program, but I cannot provide any legal, financial, tax, or benefits advice. So we'll cover ABLE accounts, but if you have specific advice or if you have specific questions, we recommend you consult a trusted professional in the legal, financial, tax, or benefits arena. All right, so let's jump into the presentation and start with what is ABLE. So ABLE accounts are a new savings option specifically designed for eligible individuals with disabilities to save private funds, so that their own money, for the purpose of paying qualified disability expenses. For too long, people with disabilities could not save for the future out of fear of losing their public benefits. As you likely know, individuals with disabilities can only have $2,000 in assets in most states at any given time in order to remain eligible for many federal benefit programs, which provide much needed supports and services. These are like Medicaid, waivers, SSI, that sort of thing. The idea for ABLE came more than a decade ago when a group of parents were frustrated that they could not set up college savings accounts for their children, that they could set up college savings accounts for children without disabilities, but they could not save money for their children with disabilities. Advocates in the disability community fought hard to change this, and that resulted in the Federal ABLE Act and the new ABLEnow program. So you're empowered to save up to $15,000 a year in an ABLE account without endangering eligibility for these means-tested disability benefits. The Federal ABLE Act of 2014 modified the U.S. Tax Code Section 529 and opened the door for ABLE accounts. The ABLE Act is named for the late Stephen Beck Jr. He was a Virginian who advocated for people with disabilities. And sadly, Mr. Beck passed away right before the ABLE Act was signed into law. The act, which was signed by President Obama, and you can see the photo on your screen, was named for Mr. Beck to honor his advocacy. And his daughter, Natalie Beck, became our very first ABLEnow customer when the program opened. ABLE is an abbreviation for Achieving a Better Life Experience. And similar to 529 college savings plans, all ABLE programs must be sponsored or administered by a state. So it really opened the door for states to start these ABLE savings programs. And in 2015, Virginia became the first state in the country to pass ABLE legislation after the federal ABLE statute passed. This state legislation authorized development of an ABLE program in Virginia. For the development of ABLEnow, we worked with disability advocates and potential customers to understand what the community wanted to see in an ABLE savings program. A few of these organizations, such as the National Disability Institute, the National Down Syndrome Society, and Autism Speaks, were the driving force for the creation of the ABLE Act. Today, we continue to partner with these organizations you see on this slide, and many more, to share information about ABLE accounts. So that leads us into what is ABLEnow. So ABLEnow, as we've mentioned, is the Virginia-sponsored ABLE Savings Program. We opened for enrollment more than 2 years ago in December 2016. Although ABLEnow is sponsored by the state of Virginia, our program is available nationwide to eligible U.S. citizens and legal residents, regardless of your state residency. Today, we have ABLEnow accounts open in all 50 states. ABLEnow is administered by Virginia 529. We are an independent Virginia state agency, and for more than 20 years, we've had offered families a variety of programs that make education more accessible and affordable. As the largest college savings plan in the country, Virginia 529 has more than 2 million accounts and manages more than $70 billion in assets. That's billion with a B. And Virginia 529 is proud to help people dream, save, and achieve. With ABLEnow, our mission has become even more inclusive. So in summary, ABLEnow is our direct sold ABLE program. You open and manage your ABLE account online on our website, able-now.com. Now I'm going to go into our next program, ABLEAmerica. ABLEAmerica is a brand new advisor sold ABLE program. It opened in July 2018. Before this program, you had to open an ABLE account with a direct sold ABLE program, such as ABLEnow. But ABLEAmerica is the first and only ABLE program available now through financial advisors. ABLEAmerica is distributed by American Funds, a family of mutual funds from the Capital Group, one of the world's largest investment management firms. ABLEAmerica is open to eligible individuals in all 50 states. Like other ABLE programs, ABLEAmerica is governed by the rules and requirements established by the ABLE Act, such as who's eligible and how much you can save. A financial advisor can give professional advice and help you build a comprehensive plan tailored to your needs. So in summary, ABLEAmerica is our advisor-sold ABLE program. Contact your financial advisor if you're interested in learning more about ABLEAmerica. Now, for the purposes of this presentation, we'll probably focus most on our direct sold ABLEnow program to answer your questions about that, since that's the program you open yourself online. But if you do have questions and you have a financial advisor, you can definitely reach out and talk to them about ABLEAmerica. So I'm going to pause here, and Kapil, do we have any questions at this point in the presentation about how the ABLE Act came to be, the ABLEnow program, or ABLEAmerica?
No, we haven't received any questions yet, but are you able to answer, are we able to convert existing 529 plans if we've already opened them for our kids to an ABLE account?
So that's a great question that we get often. You know, a lot of times folks will open a 529 account, college savings account for their child when they're really, really young, just a few months old, start putting money in it, and then realize that, you know, they may be eligible later on because of a diagnosis for an ABLE account, and they want access to that money more readily for disability related expenses. And the good news is you absolutely can. You can convert or roll over an existing 529 account into an ABLE account. That's actually a change from when our programs opened in 2016. So starting last year in 2018, the rules change and you're able to do that. And we'll talk about that a little later in this presentation. But if folks have questions on how to do that, you start by opening the ABLEnow account or the ABLE account, and then contacting us, and we can walk you through those steps to roll over a 529 account into an ABLE account. Now, we talked about for ABLE accounts, the federal rule is you can save up to $15,000 a year, and that's true if you're rolling over a 529 account. So let's say you wanted to start rolling a 529 account into an ABLE account, just make sure that each calendar year you're rolling a maximum no more than $15,000. That's your cap if you have a larger 529 program that you want to roll over. But you absolutely can. That's a great question.
So that makes sense. In that case, if you have a, let's say, 20,000 in a 529 plan, you can roll 15,000 this year, and then next year you can roll the 5,000 plus an additional contribution of 10,000 if you wanted to.
Absolutely, and it goes without saying, but that's with no taxes or penalties. Was the change in the law is that you can do that direct program to program rollover.
Okay, and then just to clarify, the ABLEnow is a Virginia program, so every state may have something similar to ABLEnow, which is going to be an ABLE program, but it may be called something slightly different.
Exactly. Yeah. So the each state, basically what the Federal ABLE Act did was it allowed states to set up these programs. And there were a few, a handful of states that were quick to open up the accounts when we could. The first program started rolling out in 2016, and Virginia's ABLEnow program was one of those first. So we've been doing this for a little over 2 years now. We have over 5,000 customers, and we're managing we've received about $25 million in contributions from our customers across the country. There are other states that have ABLE programs. So absolutely, the right thing to do if somebody is interested in an ABLE program is to do the research, look and see if your state has a state-specific program and if there's any benefits to being in that state program. Because the other benefit of the ABLE Act is that it allows individuals to open an account in any national ABLE program. So that, like I said, we have customers at all 50 states because some folks have, done their research and said the ABLEnow program, Virginia's program, is a fantastic program. It's backed by one of the largest college savings programs in the country. We keep our fees really low and other things. We'll go into some of the details. But yes, other states do have and sponsor ABLE programs. So, research those options that you have. We're going to start, I'll kind of roll into this next section about who is eligible for an ABLE account. And all of these rules that we'll be discussing are established by the Federal ABLE Act. So this is consistent program to program, no matter what state you live in. So who is eligible? An eligible individual is someone who developed the onset of their disability before the age of 26 and is entitled to SSI or SSDI benefits based on disability, or they self-certify they have a qualifying disability diagnosis from a physician. We have an eligibility quiz on our ABLEnow website that walk you through these guidelines to see if you or a loved one is eligible for an account. It's important to note here that eligible individuals may have only one ABLE account at a time. And remember that, ABLEnow is open, like I said, to all eligible individuals in any state. And an eligible individual can open an ABLE account at any time. You can have an account if you're older than 26, as long as your disability started before the age of 26. Our ABLEnow customers, the age of our ABLEnow customers range from newborn to folks in their 80s and everything in between. The average age of our customer is about 29 years old. So folks are saving in these accounts throughout their lifetimes. It's a really, really fantastic tool for a parent to save for a child, for all kinds of expenses that could come along the way, and then for an adult to save for themselves and, still be receiving and be eligible for those means tested benefits like Medicaid and SSI. I will note I believe a lot of the folks that are on this webinar are thinking about saving for a child. So it may not apply to this group as much, but I'd love to share that there is a proposal in Congress called the ABLE Age Adjustment Act that would extend ABLE eligibility from onset prior to 26 to onset of disability prior to age 46, so that millions more people with disabilities can take advantage of this important savings tool. So we're working with a lot of advocacy organizations to ask their representatives in Congress to support this bipartisan ABLE Age Adjustment Act. So the next section of our presentation is we're going to talk about how can you use the money saved in an account. ABLE accounts may be used at any time for any reason to pay expenses related to maintaining health, independence, and quality of life. Money in Your expense is qualified if you incurred the expense at the time you are an eligible individual. The expense relates to your disability. And again, it helps you maintain your health, independence, and quality of life. The examples on this slide include, but are not limited to, the categories here. So basic living expenses, health and wellness, housing expenses, transportation expenses. A big one for families is certainly education and training. We have individuals that are using these programs, in different speech therapies, even saving for different colleges, different higher education and job training experiences too. Assistive technology is another one that is a great one to be saving up that, sometimes things like iPads, hearing aids, all kinds of assistive technology isn't covered by health insurance. So, an ABLE account is a great tax-free way you can be saving for that kind of expense. Now that's a lot of information. I'll pause here and see if we've had any questions come in on either who is eligible or how can I use the money. And we'll cover these at the end as well.
No questions yet.
Okay, sounds great. So let's jump into, and we've covered them a little, but just to summarize the benefits of an ABLE account. So with the ABLEnow program, we've designed them to be flexible, easy to manage, easy to contribute, and easy to use to pay your qualified expenses. There are tax advantages to ABLE accounts, similar to the 529 accounts you may be familiar with. Earnings on your investments grow free from federal taxes as long as you use your account on qualified disability expenses. In addition, some states may offer a state tax incentive. So I'll use Virginia's example because that's where I live. In Virginia, your earnings grow free from federal and state taxes. And Virginia also offers an annual state income tax deduction of up to $2,000 per contributor for contributions to the ABLEnow account. So definitely, if you don't live in Virginia, and I know a lot of folks on this call do not, check with your state to see if there is an incentive to saving in an ABLE account. A handful of states, I won't say a lot, but I think there's about maybe 6 to 8 states across the country that offer that state tax deduction for contributions to an ABLE account. And then the last benefit is probably the largest and the reason that most of our customers are drawn to ABLE. These accounts do not impact your benefits. So generally, funds in an ABLEnow account are disregarded when determining eligibility for means-tested benefits. As a brief summary, for SSI benefits, an account balance up to and including $100,000 is disregarded. Money in an ABLEnow account in excess of $100,000 would be considered an asset and may cause SSI benefits to be reduced or suspended. But, I tell my audiences to pause here and just think about what a huge impact that makes, that an individual with a disability prior to ABLE couldn't have more than $2,000 of assets. And now these accounts, have become available, and it allows an individual with a disability the opportunity to save up to $100,000 and still be eligible for SSI benefits. That's a really, really, huge win for the disability community. There's no impact on Medicaid benefits, regardless of how much money is in the ABLEnow account. But it's important to note that after the account owner dies and after all the final expenses are paid, funds remaining in an ABLE account may go to reimburse the state for Medicaid-related services. Some states have passed a state law that would prohibit this Medicaid payback. So again, that's just something to be aware of, that these accounts were designed to be utilized during the individual's life and, for everyday expenses. But for some states, there is a Medicaid payback on these accounts. So just be aware of that. And then for all of these rules and details, I know we're covering a lot of information in a short time. We have, all of the information on our website as well, if you want to go back and and look at some of these on our frequently asked questions. I'll jump to some of the other benefits of our program. All ABLEnow account holders receive an ABLEnow card. It's a debit card that gives you a fast way, simple way to pay for qualified disability expenses straight out of your account. There's no additional cost for this card, this feature of our program. And just note that an ABLEnow card cannot be used for cash withdrawals from an ATM, but you can use it for purchases. So if you are regularly doing therapy and that, not covered by your insurance, you can, put it on your ABLEnow card. It comes straight out of the account. We've heard of folks using the account on all sorts of different things, therapeutic horseback riding lessons, swimming lessons, really, again, going back to those qualified disability expenses, anything that has to do with the health, independence, and quality of life of the individual with a disability. Let's cover gift contributions. So it's a nice opportunity to remind folks that another benefit our customers appreciate is how easy it is to make and receive gift contributions directly into an ABLEnow account. We have a website for friends and families to make online gift contribution. You just need the account owner's last name and account number, and there's no fee for this service. In addition to the website, gift contributions may be made directly into an ABLEnow account by mail. Let's talk a little bit about how these accounts work from a savings and investment perspective. So we make it easy to save and invest at your own pace. Here's how it works. The first $2,000 in your ABLEnow account is automatically allocated to the FDIC insured ABLEnow deposit account, which is linked to your ABLEnow card. You can continue saving your contributions in this deposit account. So if you want to put, $10,000, $15,000 in the account, that's fine. A lot of our customers, prefer the security of having their money in that deposit account. But for folks who are interested in investing, once the balance of your deposit account exceeds $2,000, you have the option to invest additional contributions into one or more investment portfolios. So each portfolio option, and you can see them listed here on your screen, we have 4, is intended to address a different investment strategy and risk tolerance. So we have aggressive growth, moderate growth, conservative income, and money market. And we have Vanguard Life Strategy growth funds are the first 3, and then we have a Fidelity money market option as well. And I'm happy to answer questions about the investment options, or a lot of folks that may want to talk a little bit more specifically or understand investment performance are welcome to go to our website or contact us for that information. And then I'll jump into account costs as well. So ABLEnow is really proud to offer some of the lowest fees in the country among ABLE programs. We talked about how the Federal ABLE Act allowed states to set up these programs. So there are other ABLE programs across the country, but the benefit for you is there's a little bit more competition in the marketplace. So it certainly behooves us to keep our fees low, make sure we're providing customer service, because you have the option to open your account in your own state if your state has an ABLE program, and many do, or you can shop around and find a program that meets your needs outside your state. So with ABLEnow, we offer no enrollment fee. There's no minimum contribution. We talk about some of these big numbers in our presentation. You can save up to $15,000 each year and your account can grow to $100,000. But the reality is a lot of folks start with $50. They may have a few $100s in their account. You certainly can start with whatever meets your budget and your goals. There is an account service fee of $3.25 a month. That's less than $40 a year. And that account service fee is completely waived if you maintain a balance of $10,000 in that ABLEnow deposit account. And then if the account owner or authorized representatives choose to invest some of the funds, there are asset-based fees depending on those investment selections. Now I'll pause here to see if there's any questions about account costs or the investment options or the other benefits we talked about with the program.
So I haven't seen any questions come in. For those that are listening, if you have questions, obviously feel free to use the chat function. Or if you want to chat more privately, as Sarah said, you can always reach out to any of the ABLE programs. You can do some research online. You can also email the 22Q Family Foundation, info@22Q Family Foundation. To get information later, we can refer you either to Sarah or to the appropriate representatives. Sarah, I was wondering, we've talked a little bit about investments here, and maybe you'll get to this later, but, I'm fortunate in that I have a background in finance, and I work in the financial industry. For people that are not as financially savvy or that don't necessarily have the investment experience, are there ways to find advisors? Do you guys have, does ABLEnow kind of have a list of recommendations by state?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question. So certainly, we talked about ABLEnow, and that's the more direct sold program. But if folks prefer the ABLEAmerica program and they want to work with a financial advisor, ABLEAmerica is through the American funds. So on our website, you can go to the ABLEAmerica page, and that links you directly to American funds. And that allows you to search by zip code to find a advisor in your community that can work with you on an ABLE account. So good question.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And I do see we have some questions coming in. I'm going to hold those until the end so we can get through the presentation for everyone, and then stay on the line, and I will I'll make sure we go through all the questions and get everything answered. So thank you all for sending questions. And maybe I'm thinking I can see them and maybe Kapil can't. So we'll go through those at the end, if that sounds good. Okay, so our next slide, we cover, there we go, ABLE updates. So good news is recent legislation has provided some enhancements and flexibility for ABLE account owners, and we're confident the ABLE Act will continue to improve. In 2018, the annual contribution limit increased from $14,000 to $15,000 per year. And in 2019, our contribution limit is $15,000 as well. That actually will continue to go up just based on inflation. It's tied to the federal gift tax amount. So as that rises, the ABLE annual contribution limit will rise as well. The ABLE Financial Planning Act means, and this is what we talked about earlier, that the question Kapil asked about 529 transfers. It means that transfers from a 529 college savings account to an ABLE account are considered a qualified distribution, and that gives you flexibility to move funds between the programs without incurring any taxes or penalties. Thanks to the Able to Work Act, working ABLE account owners who do not participate in an employer-sponsored retirement plan may contribute above the annual ABLE contribution limit, and that's really exciting. So this is for ABLE account owners who are adults over the age of 18, and they're working, they have jobs themselves. They are empowered to save a maximum of around $27,000 in their ABLE account, depending on their income. And for all of those details, you can refer to our website or give us a call and we can walk you through how to do those calculations and make those Able to Work Act contributions if you are saving your own income. But that's an exciting development that allows and incentivizes individuals with disabilities to work. In addition, ABLE account owners may be able to claim the Savers Tax Credit for retirement savings contributions made to their ABLE account. And then I'll just remind folks on that last slide, we recommend you consult trusted legal, finance, tax professionals if you have questions about your eligibility on any of those, the tax savers tax credit or things like that. Okay, so let's jump into next steps. We're doing great on time. So to start your savings, ABLEnow is open for national enrollment. The application is available on our website, able-now.com, by clicking the Open an Account button that you see on your screen, and this is a screenshot of our site. You'll also see on our site at the top of the page, that's where you go to manage your account. You do that all online and you can access your account 24/7. You can give a gift. We talked about gift contributions and those are there. You can subscribe to our newsletter. And then here is where you contact our customer service team. And you can contact us by phone, email, or we even have an online chat with our customer service representatives who are available Monday through Friday during business hours. So what information do you need to open an ABLEnow account? To open an account for yourself, you just need your name, address, date of birth, and social security number. And you have the choice to enter your bank account information with your application or wait until later when your account is open to connect your account and do some contributions online. I know we have a lot of parents on this call. And so to open an account for someone else, you'll be the authorized representative. You just need your name, address, date of birth, social security number, as well as that information for the account owner. And in this instance, with ABLE accounts, the individual with a disability is considered, for all intents and purposes, the account owner, and a parent would be the authorized representative. So we often get the question, who can open an account as an authorized rep? So if the eligible individual or the account owner is a minor under the age of 18, a parent must open the ABLEnow account as that authorized representative. If the eligible individual cannot open the account or would prefer to have assistance, an individual authorized to act on his or her behalf, so that could include a parent, and that's of a child of any age, a legal guardian, or somebody with power of attorney can open and manage the account as that authorized representative. Now, as we're coming to the end of the presentation, I just encourage you to receive and share information about ABLE accounts. You can visit our website to subscribe to updates. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And then we encourage you to share this information about ABLE programs with your family, friends, and community groups. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, there are over 8 million eligible individuals across the United States, and we have a long way to go with this program being so new, of spreading the word to, all facets and, pockets of the disability community across the country. So we really, appreciate the help to spread information about ABLE accounts. Now, one of the last things we'll do, you see pop quiz on your screen. This usually works better when I'm giving the presentation when I'm giving this presentation in person, but I'm going to do it over the webinar because I do think that there's some valuable takeaways in this pop quiz. So let's go through the questions to see if you picked up some of the key takeaways of this presentation. So what is ABLE an abbreviation for? It is an abbreviation for Achieving a Better Life Experience. That is the name of the ABLE Act that basically, opened the door for states to start these ABLE programs. So the next question is, I am older than 26. May I open an ABLEnow account? Of course, the answer is yes. An eligible individual is someone who developed their disability, the onset of their disability, before the age of 26, but you can certainly be over 26 to open an ABLEnow account. Do I need to live in Virginia to open an ABLEnow account? No, of course, the answer is no. We have customers in all 50 states. How much can I save in my ABLEnow account each year? If you said $15,000 in 2019, you are correct. And that, again, that number may go up with inflation. It's tied to the federal gift tax amount. So can I have an ABLEnow account and a special needs trust? I don't think we covered this in the presentation, but I will answer and say yes. You can use your ABLEnow account in conjunction with other types of trusts and accounts. It may make sense for many individuals to have both an ABLE account as well as a special needs trust. We recommend that you consult with a financial or legal professional to discuss your specific situation. A lot of times, an ABLE account can be a great, if you haven't started any planning for your child, an ABLE account can be a great first step. They are, there's no enrollment fee. They're very, very low cost compared to special needs trusts. And you don't need, to work with an attorney or work with a professional to set one up. You could have one open before the end of today. And, the money you save in the ABLE account could potentially be used for the legal fees to set up, a special needs trust or do other planning down the road with a professional. So, that's what we say, and you hear from our customers as well, that an ABLE account is a great first step to planning. And if you already have a special needs trust, it could be a wonderful tool in your toolbox to just, be saving, and the advantages of ABLE, those tax-free saving is helpful as well. Next question, what happens to the money in my ABLEnow account after my death? And we talked about this. If you received Medicaid benefits during the time you had your ABLE account open, Medicaid can file a claim for some amount of repayment upon death. But before that happens, the account balance can be used by the account owner's estate to repay any qualified disability expenses, including funeral and burial costs. Who can contribute to an ABLEnow account? So of course the answer is anyone can contribute to someone's ABLEnow account. And I often, I'll do this presentation in person a lot with individuals with disabilities who are, eligible to open their own ABLEnow accounts. And sometimes I see the wheels turning that, folks are pretty used to the idea of crowdsourcing. And, they can definitely crowdsource their ABLE account to meet their financial goals. And I've heard of different customers who, have asked for contributions to perhaps, build a wheelchair ramp on their home or do other, achieve other goals that they have by asking people to donate to their ABLE accounts. And of course, the benefit of that is that it won't impact any of the benefits they're receiving.
So Sarah, on that note, just to confirm, the contribution limit is still $15,000, right?
It is, yes.
Per person, it's per individual ABLE account,
per
not
individual,
per giver.
Exactly, it's per every individual ABLE account. So exactly. So if you can get, 15 friends to give you $1,000, you are in good shape. I laugh at that, but using it as just an example, yeah, the total per account is $15,000. But for folks that are receiving contributions from family or gifts, it's a great way to kind of have folks help you achieve that financial independence. And then the last question on this slide is, where do I go to open my ABLEnow account? And for ABLEnow, that's our direct sold program. You open that yourself on the website. You can do the whole process online, but if you have questions, certainly give us a call. And then of course, for ABLEAmerica, that's our financial advisor sold program. You'll go see a financial advisor that has the ability to sell the American Funds program. So these and other answers can be found online on our website, and just click over to our FAQs. So that's the end of the formal part of our presentation. I thank everyone for joining us. And you can see here on the screen, jot down our website. This is our customer service email and our toll-free number if you have any questions at all. I will also pause and start going through questions that we've received throughout the presentation at this time. So thank you again for joining us. If you need to dial off. I see we've gotten a lot of questions, so feel free to stick with us if you want to hear some of the questions. And if I'll also say, if we don't have time to get to your question, certainly feel free to give us a call on Monday morning, or like Appeal said, contact the 22Q Family Foundation, and they can get the answer to your question.
And we will make this available to people afterwards also. So if you can think of others that weren't able to join us today that may be interested, again, just reach out to the Family Foundation, and we can provide you with a link. We're hopefully going to have this posted on our website in the near future.
So the first, I'm seeing a number of questions that I'll answer in bulk. Are ABLE accounts available in my state? And folks have listed different states. So I will give you a great resource to go and figure out kind of a one-stop shop. The National Disability Institute, it's a nonprofit organization based in Washington, D.C., runs something called the ABLE National Resource Center. And on their website, and that's an easy Google, ABLE National Resource Center, on their website, they offer a list of all of the states that have active ABLE programs. And if you can actually compare programs. So that's a wonderful resource to kind of one-stop shop to figure out if your state has an ABLE program. A lot of times you can also, if you're searching online for your state's program, it's typically run through the state treasurer's office or often through the state's 529 college savings program if you wanted to do some research online. I got the question, what does means tested disability mean? And I use the term means tested disability when I'm talking about those benefits. So means tested is just another way to say needs based. And it's the term that's used a lot of times by those federal agencies that provide benefits. Means tested just means that they check your assets. And you have to stay under those asset limitation of $2,000. So if you're an adult and your assets go above that $2,000 limit, then you would not be receiving those benefits because the federal government says you don't have that needs-based or means-tested limit. So that's what that means. It's a term that it refers to some of the federal benefits. The next question is, my daughter lives out of state and would need a lot of help setting this up. Are there people who can help with filling out these forms? So we talked about, I may have covered this individual's question in the who can set up an account. If it's a daughter and you manage a lot of her finances, then you can help her set up that account as an authorized representative. So you could open the account for her or open it together. And you can help her set this up. If she prefers to work with a financial advisor, certainly you have that opportunity as well to open it with an advisor sold program. But certainly, hopefully we covered this question for you, that a parent can open up an ABLE account for their child of any age. And we have a lot of customers that do this. I got a question, is this only for schooling? And we did talk about the qualified disability expenses. If you go to our website, you can see that list of qualified disability expenses. You can absolutely use it for educational expenses, but you can also use it on just about anything else that relates to your child or the individual's health, independence, and quality of life. So is a wide variety of expenses that you can use the funds in this account for. Oh, this is a great question. So if you start with the ABLEnow program, can you switch to the ABLEAmerica Financial Advisor program or another program later on? The answer is absolutely. You could open your account today with ABLEnow, and then let's say your state doesn't have an ABLE program, or you might want to work with a financial advisor in the future. you can absolutely roll over your ABLE account into another program. We're keeping in mind that each eligible individual is limited to one ABLE program, or one ABLE account, excuse me. So, but you can absolutely, let's say you live in a state without an ABLE program, you can definitely roll over your ABLEnow account into that state's ABLE program if they end up having one, or you find another program that better meets your needs. That is an option. So good question.
So, Sarah, on that note, if
Mhm.
you are rolling over from one ABLE program to another ABLE program, does that $15,000 limit still apply, or can you roll the whole account over, the whole program?
It is, my understanding is it still applies. That's a great question, that I'd want to reference customer service. And I only say that because we only have, I don't know how many folks we've had roll in and out of the program at this point. So I'd want to give you an accurate answer. So I believe
Nope. Well,
you'd be limited to that 15,000, but no, I think you could roll it all over. So that's you've stumped me, but
it's
we could
able to
easily.
able. It's
Yeah,
not a contribution necessarily.
exactly,
It's able to
exactly.
able.
If it's able to able, then you'd be closing out your account and rolling it over. So I believe you could do a clean rollover if you had a few, number of years of maximum contributions to the account. I got a question, and let me check. I think we have a few more minutes to cover some of the questions, and these are great questions. Somebody asked, what is a 529 account? It's a typically called a college savings account or an educational savings account. They are tax advantaged, tax free accounts that help individuals save for higher education. They've been around for about 20 years. So a lot of folks are familiar with a 529 account. A lot of states have them. So I know I reference it a lot in this presentation because a lot of folks sometimes are familiar with 529 accounts and compare the two programs. I got the question, can I roll over 401k funds to this account without penalties? And the answer, unfortunately, at this time is no. There are some limitations on, what other types of funds, investment funds that you can roll over into an ABLE account. And at this time, you cannot roll over, too many other types of account. Money going into the ABLE accounts needs to be cash, essentially. So there would be a penalty to, likely to taking a distribution out of another type of investment account. So be aware of that, and certainly, consult with a financial professional if you have additional questions.
Just real quick on the 529 plans, for those that are not necessarily eligible for ABLE programs, if you do have a 529 plan, in some states they're known as covered L accounts or Bright Start programs, any of these college savings plans, the tax law change in 2018, that went into effect in 2018, actually allows you to now use those college savings accounts for kindergarten through college, as well as vocational programs. So.
Okay, so I got a question of, is there a tax when you withdraw from this account? And the answer is no. As long as you're using the funds on qualified disability expenses, that's really one of the benefits of this program is the money grows tax free, and there's no taxes when you take a distribution or withdraw from the account. I think, we got some good questions. I think we've, pretty much covered most all of the questions that we've received. Is this available? Okay, so someone asked, is this only available to individuals currently receiving SSI? That's a great question. And the answer is no. So the eligibility criteria, and we have an eligibility quiz on our website, able-now.com. But you can either you must be eligible for SSI you don't have to be receiving it. So one of the eligibility criteria is to be eligible for SSI based on your disability, or you can have you can enroll in an ABLE program based on a qualifying disability diagnosis. So a doctor has diagnosed the individual with a disability, and that would be an eligible criteria for opening an ABLE account. The law is written this way. It really is, meant to be inclusive and not exclusive to folks. So, a lot of times we ask, we think about, would this individual have a qualified disability expenses? So, a lot of that burden of kind of proof of eligibility is on the individual opening the account. So we recommend, keeping that paperwork, that disability diagnosis. You don't need to show it when you open your account, but keep that just in case you're ever audited. But certainly, you don't have to be currently receiving SSI. A lot of our customers are saving an ABLE account because they want to maintain their eligibility, not build too many assets. And an ABLE account is a great way to be saving that money and maintain eligibility maybe after they turn 18, for example. I think we've done a good job of covering all the questions, but I appreciate all the questions that have come in. Any other final questions, Kapil, before I think we can end on time?
No. Yeah, no, not for me. I want to thank everyone for joining. Again, I'm Kapil Kumar. I am one of the directors of the 22Q Family Foundation. If you have questions, please feel free to email us at info@22qfamilyfoundation.org, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Thank you all for joining, and we look forward to more of these in the future. If you have suggestions and things you'd like to hear about, we'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much, Sarah, for your time and for this information today. It was really helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll stop the recording now and have a great afternoon.